Hello, welcome to COS Indiana Live. There's never been a more important time in our history than now if you believe it's time to stand up and be free. Stay tuned and come back every Monday at 7 p.m. as our state director and host, Dale Parrish, present the need for self-governance. Our COS Indiana vision statement is to build a grassroots community of Hoosier citizens and legislators dedicated to the constitutional concept of self-governance. So, take it away, Dale.
Well, thank you, Maringo Mike. I hope you all enjoyed that intro tonight. We've added the national anthem to Maringo Mike's intro, and um, I really think it's very good because we believe in that, and we think that's important. So I decided to add the national anthem to Maringo Mike's introduction. As Maringo Mike said, my name is Dale Parrish. I am the State Director for Convention of States here in Indiana, and I want to welcome you to our broadcast this evening. We're trying to reach those of you here in Indiana that are not part of our movement as yet. So you're the target tonight, and you are the target of every broadcast. Of course, we welcome any and everyone that would like to tune in and be part of our broadcast. But those of you that are not part of our movement, you're the target. We're trying to get more and more people into our movement. It's called Growing the Grassroots. So let me tell you briefly then the segments of our broadcast tonight and what we will be covering. Now, the first segment will be our topic discussion segment. That's where sometimes we have a panel discussion on a particular topic, or we'll have an interview lined up. Might be a national person from Convention of States, but most of the time we try to focus on someone in leadership within our state organization. And tonight we have with us a young man by the name of John Aukerman. And John is our media liaison, and John's going to be coming on. And another thing we're trying to focus on is leaders that are involved in exercising self-governance. So above and beyond what John does as part of the Convention of States movement, he is also engaged in exercising self-governance. So we're going to talk to John about what he's involved in, and I hope you'll find it very interesting. Now, after John, I'll bring up my PowerPoint presentation, and we'll go through some general information about our movement here in Indiana, as well as some numbers on how we're doing here in Indiana. And by the way, we're doing very well. But after that segment, then I'll do my best to try and recognize those of you that have tuned in and are viewing tonight. And by the way, if you are a viewer and if you have a question, feel free to enter that in the chat section, comment or a question. We'll try our best to get those up here and address what you've input there. Then the final segment will be what I call the invitation. And in that segment, we'll close out. I'll let you know what we have planned for our broadcast on next Monday evening. And then I want to invite you, if you're not part of our movement, I want to invite you once again to join our movement here in Indiana Convention of States. So those are the segments that we'll go through tonight. And we try to keep this whole broadcast, we try to keep it to no more than 30 minutes. You know, sometimes we go a little longer, but which is okay. But we'll try and keep it at 30 minutes. So without further ado, I'm going to bring on our guest this evening, John Aukerman, and let me unmute him and bring him up into the screen. There he is. And hi, John.
Hi, Dale. Good to see you.
Yeah, good. John, I want to thank you for coming on tonight. as with every guest that I have on the broadcast, the first thing I ask that you do is tell us your convention estate story.
Okay.
Not your life story, just your convention estate story. How, when, and where you got involved in convention estates.
Sure, be happy to do that. It had to be sometime in the summer or fall of 2014. And I saw this on social media, and I was despairing about the future of our country, the national debt, and the problem of corruption, political corruption in Washington, D.C., and so on. And I was just wondering if there was any hope for our country. And I saw this post uh, on social media about something called Convention of States. I clicked on it and I started reading on it, and my eyes were open, and I said, wow, if there's any hope to save this republic, it would be the Convention of States. I vetted it as best I could. I read all that I could about it, and I said, I want to be part of this. So I signed the petition, and it wasn't very long after that that I got a phone call from your predecessor, the state director. Her name was Diane Gomez.
Yeah.
She called and asked me if I would be interested in becoming a district captain in my city.
Yeah.
And I thought, well, yeah, that sounds pretty important. So I found out what all that entailed, and I was off to the races. That's how I got started.
Yeah, she's the one that got me involved in this too. She was my first contact. We all love Diane. She did a great job. So, well, good. I'm glad. Now, as I said, John, currently you're our media liaison, but John, I know you've, as with all of us that have been in the movement for a while, you've served in a number of different positions, haven't you?
Well, yeah, I've been a district captain, and I'm coming up short with other things. I think for a short while I was a region captain. That didn't last very long.
Uh-huh.
But then, talking with you a year or two ago, you had a need for the media liaison, and I said, you know what, I think that's something I can do. So
Right.
So that's all that comes to mind right now. If I've done other things, they've been washed away in the sea of forgetfulness.
Well, I guess it falls under the media liaison title, but you're also the our Facebook page administrator.
Yeah, that's primary medium. Yeah, and
Yeah.
So this broadcast is coming out on the Indiana Convention of States Facebook page.
It is.
I'm the admin for that.
Right.
Yeah.
And well, that's another story how we discovered John's talent for the being the administrator of our Facebook page. So we'll save that story for another time.
Very good.
So, tell us, John. I wanted to bring you on tonight because, as I said, in addition to your duties as in Convention of States as media liaison, which, folks, that is exercising self-governance, being part of Convention of States. I don't want to downplay that at all. That's exercising self-governance. But John also is involved in another example of self-governance. And John, you want to tell us about what you're going to be now?
Well, I am a precinct committeeman. Let me back up and explain a little bit about this. It involves the political process, and I came to find out after I got involved and a full-on supporter of Convention of States, I came to find out that each of our two major political parties is organized on the state level and on the county level, and within the county on the precinct level. Now, I live in Madison County, which is Anderson, Indiana, and we have 111 precincts in this county. Precinct, by the way, is where you go to vote. Most of us vote in a public school building or a church or a rec hall somewhere near us. That's your precinct. And in my precinct, there happen to be about 900 registered voters, and that would be for both parties. But I found out how that structure is organized, and I said, you know what, I want to be involved in grassroots not only, we passed the Convention of States resolution in the Indiana legislature over 4 years ago. And so what can I do locally to promote and to get involved in self-governance? I found out about this committeeman structure. And there are men and women who serve in that. It's just an old term. But I found out that what I had to do was wait until the proper cycle came up, because all committeemen are elected in the primary election, which just happened in June here in Indiana, as everybody knows. But it happens every 4 years. And in my party, which happens to be Republican Party, it happens in the year of the presidential election. And for Indiana Democrats, it happens 2 years from now. So it's in the off year. And so around sometime early in January through early in February, that's filing season for candidates. And if somebody wants to run for an office, county auditor or county council member and things like that, they go in and they fill out a form and they file for that office. Well, also anybody can walk in off the street, as long as you're a registered voter. You can walk in off the street and say, I want to file for committeeman. And they asked me what's my address, and they found that address, and they found out what my precinct was, and I filled out this form and signed it. And the voter registration woman put the official stamp seal on it and gave me a certificate saying your name will be on the ballot in the primary election. Wow. And I was. And so I got elected on June the 2nd, by the voters of my party in my precinct.
Okay.
And, these offices always come up way at the bottom of the ballot. And people who only vote for top of the ticket, they never see these names. You have to go all the way down to the bottom of the ballot, because I'm not an elected official. I'm a party official, I guess. I'm an official in my party. And I got elected. And it became official, I think, 10 days after the county clerk certified the results of the election. And so I am now a precinct committeeman. Now I have two roles in my job, and the first one is to get out the vote.
Okay.
And I have a walking list, which is a 10-year voting history of every voter in my precinct. This is all public record. Anybody can go into the courthouse and get it. But it is provided to committeemen, and my job for the general election in November will be to walk my precinct, knock on doors, and I think I will only knock on doors of voters in my party, because my job is to get out the vote. And in every election, whichever party gets out more voters is going to win. And so my job will be to get my voters in my precinct of my party to show up and vote on November, is it the 3rd?
Yeah. Now you could knock on the doors of Democratic voters too.
Well, I can. It's a free country out there. But why would I want to get out the vote for the opposition party?
Well, so you're not there to try to sway voters to vote Republican instead of Democrat. All right.
That's right. I suppose I could do that if I wanted to. I could go campaigning and knock on every door of every voter.
Campaigning, I guess, would be the better
but
term.
I don't have the desire or the time to knock on 900 doors.
Right.
Starting sometime probably in September, I'll start walking the streets of my neighborhood. I introduce myself. I'll say, hey, look, I'm your neighbor. I live over here on this street, 2 blocks from you. And I know that you voted Republican in the primary, and I just want to give you this literature and ask you to support our candidates. Can we count on you coming out in November? So that's one thing that a committeeman does. Another thing is a very official thing. When an elected official, like the mayor of a town or city, or a member of your city council or county council, when they have to resign due to health, or they moved away, or maybe they died, the law provides for the precinct committeeman of that party to meet together in a caucus. And it's an official thing. The newspaper is there to cover it. and I have to show my my photo ID, my driver's license to verify that I am the precinct committeeman for my precinct. And I go in there to the caucus, and whoever filed to replace that elected official who vacated office, they get a set amount of time to talk. And it's not a debate. It's, you have 1 minute or 2 minutes to tell us why you want to get elected. And then we get a ballot, and we vote and we elect, and the winner of the caucus gets sworn in, and can become the mayor, can become the city council member, county commission member, whatever it is, without having to file and run a campaign. And so this is a very official thing that precinct committeemen get to do. Talk about self-governance. Instead of thousands of people voting for mayor of your town, it comes down to the committeemen who've been elected or appointed. I can get into the appointment process too if you want to, but it's actually it's the committeeman of your party, because your party won that election.
Right.
And they get to hold that seat until the next election. And so really, really self-governance right there, man.
Okay, yeah. We're about out of time here, John. Let's skip down to, I definitely want to, for you to tell us how you got inspired to get into this.
Well, yeah, back in 2015, I was a big fan, still am, of Dr. Ben Carson. And he was running for president. And so I wanted to support him. And I went to his political page and poked around in there. And I found a page on Dr. Carson's website that said how to get involved as a precinct committeeman. And he wrote a lot of that stuff that I just shared with you and our viewers tonight. And one thing that he said in there is, you don't have to wait 2 years or 4 years for the next primary election. You can approach your party's county chairman in your committee right now. And virtually every county in the state has openings because they don't get enough people to file for committeemen. And you can say to your party chairman, look, I'm willing to help. Would you appoint me to be the committeeman in my precinct? And so I learned that on Dr. Carson's page. And,
all right.
And I took off from there in 2015.
Okay, well, let's wrap this up, because John, like we said, we wanted you to come on because you're a great example of one of our leaders exercising self-governance. And I know you've already kind of mentioned that, but this is truly a part of self-governance.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's not just the political process of the two major parties. Every voter in Indiana can go to the public open meetings of their city council, town council, county commission, county council. These are your friends and neighbors. They live in your city and in your county, and you may not know them yet, but they meet, and state law requires that their meetings be open. There's this sunshine law. They can't have closed door meetings. And you go to the meeting and you see what they do, and you introduce yourselves to them maybe before or after, and you get to know these people. For example, we have 7 members on the county council in my county, and I'm personally acquainted with 6 out of the 7 of them. And they know me. When they see my face, they know who I am. And I've had coffee with some of them, and this is how you get involved in local self-governance, and I would strongly urge that many of our viewers think about doing that, because filing for a committeeman and being a partisan politician, that may not be for everybody, but these citizen officials are accountable to you, the voter. And if you take the initiative to get to know them before you have a beef with them, make them your friends. And then when you have an issue, they're more likely to hear you out, All
right. Well, John, you've inspired me to look into this. So I've checked out city council meetings, and I'm gonna go and see what this is like. So,
well, good. Then I'll have you on my Facebook Live broadcast.
There you go. That's a deal. John, thank you very much for your time tonight. It's been very, very, very interesting, and you've inspired me, and let's hope you've inspired someone else that's viewing tonight to
really
to get involved. So, John, thank you. Have a good evening, bud.
Okay, it's been fun. Bye.
Okay, let's. That was very interesting. I want to thank John for coming on and taking the time to talk about that. We went a little bit longer than planned for that segment, so I want to bring up the PowerPoint presentation that I want to use, and I'm going to kind of go through this maybe a little bit fast just to cover everything. I'm going to utilize the slide projector, or the slide program here, to give you a better view of each slide. But as Maringo Mike said, our vision statement here in Indiana is to build a Hoosier grassroots community of citizens and legislators, that's state legislators, dedicated to the constitutional concept of self-governance. See, self-governance is part of our Constitution. It's a constitutional concept. So it's not just something that someone thought about. It's basic to our Constitution, self-governance. Now, we have two main mission objectives here in Indiana, and that's to meet and work with all of our state legislators, especially new ones, new legislators that perhaps don't know about Convention of States, so we want to educate them. And then is to grow the grassroots, and our target for 2021 is to grow the grassroots to 52,000. I'm going to talk a little bit about this more in just a minute. So those are the two objectives that we're striving to accomplish here in 2020. Now, we have a lot of resources available to us. The main resource is the national website, conventionofstates.com. You're going to hear us make reference to this website frequently, and it's just jam-packed full of information. So if you're not part of our movement now, that's the first step I want you to take, is to go to this website, conventionofstates.com. Now, embedded in that website is our state website page, conventionofstates.com/Indiana. Also, we're on various social media platforms, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Instagram. Facebook is the main one that we utilize. We have a state Facebook page, Convention of States, Indiana. This broadcast is coming to you through that state Facebook page. John administers that for us. We also have a YouTube channel, COS Indiana, very much an educational resource. And one of the main things on there is we have links to various chapters of a podcast, the Free to Be Free. This podcast is done by our state legislative liaison, Paul Phillips. Excellent, excellent podcast. So links to his podcast, the Free to Be Free. And you can see we're on Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn, many other platforms. So if you're into social media, you should not have any problem finding us out there. Some numbers for you real quick. 2019, we did 41,000 supporters in the state. We've been growing tremendously. And as we mentioned earlier, our goal for 2020 is 52,000. And I'll tell you, we're well on track to accomplish that goal here in 2020. We have about 80 individuals in leadership roles in the state, about 30 as district captains and region captains, about 15 people in various support positions, and then about 35 individuals in various other types of roles. Now, I'm going to talk about this getting involved. I'm going to talk this more in the invitation area, but as I said, the very first thing I need you to do is go to the national website, conventionofstates.com. Click on the menu selection at the top, the menu selection, Take Action. Scroll down to where it says Become a Leader and look at the different positions that we have available. If there's one of interest to you, open it up, read about it. If you're really interested, go ahead and make application. Don't worry, you're not obligated in any way, but what that does is that your name comes up on a report that I see every day, as well as a few others, and one of us will be in contact with you to discuss that with you. So that's the first step. Go to that website, conventionestates.com, open an account, and become a supporter. And then look at perhaps a leadership role if you have some time that you want to devote to Convention Estates. Now, the time requirement, I might mention when you're looking at the different positions and trying to find one that maybe is that you may be interested in, be sure to look at the time required for those positions. You're the only one that knows how much time you're willing to devote on a weekly basis to Convention Estates. Obviously, some of these positions will require very little time, but others are going to require more time. So be sure you note that. Okay, be sure to take a look at that. Convention Estates Basics, 3 tenets, problem, solution, plan. I won't go into any detail on these right now. I'll direct you again to that national website, conventionestates.com. Click on the menu selection, resources, and read about the Convention Estates Basics, the problem, the solution, and the plan. Okay, let's go over here now to our next segment, and that will be to recognize any viewers that have tuned in this evening. Don't see any as yet, so it's just us tonight, okay? So that's all right. Well, let's then jump to the closing, and let me just say here what we have planned for next Monday evening, which will be the 27th. We have a gentleman coming on from another organization here in Indiana called Americans for Prosperity. His name's Graham Rimbarger. Graham is the director of grassroots operations here in Indiana. And the reason we're bringing him on is Convention Estates here in Indiana. We're very good friends with this organization, Americans for Prosperity, and we've done a number of things jointly together. So I wanted to bring him on. This is just another organization that I think is another example of self-governance. We have a number of members in our group that are also members of AFP. And if you're, I will say, if you're legislative oriented, if you're very, very interested in legislation that gets passed in our state, I think AFP would be of interest to you. So anyway, again, another way to exercise self-governance. So we're going to bring Graham on and let him talk about Americans for Prosperity. Let me close here this evening. Again, I want to invite you to become part of our family here in Indiana Convention Estates, because as one of our co-founders and currently president of Convention Estates, Mark Meckler, says that there's a fundamental question facing us in this country, and it's not what we should do, what should we do? The question is really who will decide. So the question facing us is simply a two-word question: who decides? And we think we the people should have a greater say so. And not only, at the federal level, certainly at the federal level, but we believe that applies to the state level, county level, city level, community level, and it's all part of self-governance, becoming involved in your country, your state, and your community. And my goodness, you see what's going on in this country right now. We all need to get involved. We all need to get involved. And I believe it's we, the people, that are going to make the difference not only in our country, but our state and locality, local. So self-governance, that's what we're really talking about here. Well, folks, I want to say good night to everyone. I want to thank you for watching us this evening. Um, this is being recorded and the recording will be on our state Facebook page and available to you. So with that, I want to say good night to everyone and have a good evening, and see you next Monday evening at 7 p.m. for COS Indiana Live. Good night, everyone.